gentlemen, we got a Stars victory. How the heck are you feeling this morning?
Dude, that was an awesome night. It was brutal to start the evening because that power play just set you in a, oh no. And when Draisaitl scores, you could see in his face, it was just like last year, baby. We got these guys.
I definitely projected that onto him.
And I was like, oh man, if that's the way that this is going to be a very tough night. And it just kind of continued to feel that way. The Sagan goal was nice, but it was definitely the power play going into the third period that I was like, okay, if we can just come out of this thing with a goal. They did it. They just did it against the Jets. The Winter Pigs didn't stand a chance in overtime. Stars they burn off 14 seconds in that first one,
right.
And they go into the overtime and they get a goal to win the game. Harley puts one away. When I saw that, they burned off about 37 seconds, and I was like, okay, same thing. You go into the third period, you get one. Now you're only down by one, and I know that sounds so simple, but you get one right out of the gate. You have the rest of the period to score another one. Well, that's when the quicksand happened, dude. And that's when it got very sloggy on the ice for the Oilers. They didn't know how to respond to that.
I really wish I could tell you, and Alec, I don't know where you fall on this. I really wish I could tell you that I had that same sense of optimism going into the third period, but I just felt like it was 3-1. It definitely could have been 4-1, perhaps 5-1. It felt like that wasn't our game. I looked at yesterday and I was like, all right, so back to the way it used to be, and we're going to lose game one. That's how I was feeling going into the third period.
Yeah, I was kind of like, well, we've been here before, haven't we? Kind of demoralized after game one, going to bed with a loss and thinking, they'll find a way. They always find a way. So going into that third period, it was kind of odd. I was like, do I go to bed and try to, get some extra sleep? Because it feels like this one's over. But then, I don't know, it might have been the first power play that they went on there towards the end of the game where I was like, I'm going to give this a shot. I'm going to see what happens here. And I'm very glad I did.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. And I was having a conversation with somebody before the show about this. The third period felt like the most amazing period of hockey that I've seen in a long time. But I felt that way about at least one period of hockey in every single series so far.
Yep.
You go back to, obviously, the Colorado series, definitely just saw it in the Winnipeg series. And now to start it off in the Colorado series, that's 3 different times that every time I'm like, man, this is the craziest thing I've seen. And I was like, oh, yeah, except for the last series.
So do you think the Stars slow play? Or
I do not.
I think that there is something to be said for adjustments in game.
Yes.
And I think that I don't think it's slow play, but I think it is patience. The Stars are like, all right, we're going to play this game. This is our game plan to start. We're going to see what they're doing against us. Once we see that, then we're going to figure out what the loopholes are. We're going to expose them. And the Stars did that last night. They said the power play is where we can expose this team. And they got fortunate that the calls were made. But, man, their special teams last night was on freaking point.
I agree. They also got fortunate that, hey, Edmonton, I hope you don't learn this lesson, but your stick can only go so high. And it definitely can't go into somebody else's face.
Yeah, don't. Well, and we learned that last series.
I feel like
we had 15 of them in one game or something.
I feel like hopefully we would have known that, but apparently, I don't know if Edmonton has never heard of that rule. It's not a particularly new rule or anything like that, but at least 2 of those 3 power plays, probably all 3 felt very well earned, or, they felt very foolish from Edmonton. And the fact that you converted on all 3 of them is bananas. You go back to last year just to show how different it is. We talked a lot going into the series about confidence in your special teams. And yes, I do realize that Edmonton also scored a power play goal when every time Draisaitl was on the ice, they scored a goal, and it was really agitating.
In their loss.
But last year in this series, 0 for 14 on the power play. 0 for 14. And then when you saw their first power play last night, you're like, no, yeah, I get it. Mm-hmm. I remember why we went 0 for 14 last year. And then the third period is a barrage of power play scoring like we've never seen in the history of hockey.
Yeah, and Kevin, it was the Duchesne goal that really made me believe that this thing is in the Stars' favor. This is a team that delivers when called upon. Whenever it's time, whenever they really need something. And I say this because that last night was, hey, we need the second, third lines to show up. We need somebody else other than line one to show up and do something. Granted, Granlund goes out there and gives you a goal. What a freaking goal, by the way.
Yeah.
Is this dude, does he ever look at the net whenever he's shooting anymore? Or is he just like, no, I don't need to.
Exactly.
Because I know where it is. The rest of the team from all over the roster gave you something. And that was, we needed that to not only prove to themselves, they need that confidence for one. But Brian Ray was talking about it yesterday. Duchesne's this close to cracking it open.
Yeah.
He's hitting crossbars. Granted, Edmonton hit some crossbars last night, too.
Yes,
Dude,
they did.
There were some close moments that went in the Stars' favor last night.
Did.
But Duchesne needed that. And after the game, when he was like, hey, maybe next time I won't hit my player in the ass before I put it in the goal.
By the way, good for him, for Rope for getting an assist on that.
Did he really?
Yes, he did. Now, I realize
he bounced it off his butt?
I don't think it's just because of that. He was important in the play before that. But
when he fell down, Kevin, my first thought was, he's going to block this shot.
And he did. He blocked an empty net. And then Duchesne got another shot at it. And in the aftermath, he was like, oh, man, I'm going to blow this. And I was like, I would shoot the puck into my teammate instead of the empty net. But then they got it again and scored. I thought for sure that was not going to be a goal.
Yeah, no, absolutely. But that's the moment, though, Kevin, that I was like, this team won't let me down. You know, the Rangers, when they beat the Astros in the in the ALCS, the day that Adolis hit his grand slam and all, I was like, this team's not going to let me down. I don't have to worry about it in the World Series.
Yeah.
Because this team knows when the moment is big, they're ready for it. Adolis was ready to be in those moments. This team right now, you have Mikko, who's he's ready for the moment at any time. But now you know the rest of the dudes are there. And the fact that Tyler Seguin, man, give this dude some love for his playoff run so far has been special. And I'm not saying like, oh my gosh, he's just been the work he does in corners, the work he does to get the puck out of their own zone. He's doing all these other things, and then he got rewarded last night with a couple goals.
The other person I'm really excited about, but you're absolutely 100% right about Tyler Seguin, especially last night, is Sam Steele. Like, if you want to talk about, obviously, we all go back to, maybe that could have been a penalty shot or whatever. But, like, you look at the contributions of Sam Steele on the penalty kill, and you got to be stoked for that. Obviously, he assisted on that Seguin goal. It was the last contested
goal. It was the fifth one, yeah.
Yeah. And so then they were like, the hell with it. Just pull the goalie. He sucks anyway. And so they pulled him with like 3.5 minutes left. And they're like, well, you know what? You're not stopping anything anyway.
It was a little deflection, but Sam Steele, he hit it hard.
Yeah.
And he skated it right across the middle. And they don't know what to think of Sam Steele.
Yes.
Do we break off and defend who he's going to pass it to, or what's he going to do? And this is a really good thing to have on that version of your line right now.
From the 972, it was electric in section 318 last night. Man, I'm glad to hear you say that because you can tell. Like, it feels electric in that arena, especially when things start to turn. I know that the crowd can get shut down just like any opposing crowd can if you fall behind. I wanted to go back to the goaltenders for just a minute.
Otter's better.
I mean, if you didn't believe that already, let's talk about it. And props to Brian Ray for this specific breakout stat. Jake Ottinger, save percentage in the third period in overtime. 947. That is
in the playoffs?
In the playoffs. That is best in the playoffs. Stuart Skinner, 850.
Ugh.
That is 16th. Now, I realize Edmonton has played multiple goalies, but that is 16th. So you're talking about you're like right at the bottom.
Yeah.
And almost 100 points behind Ottinger in the third period in overtime. So when we talked about, and I know we'll discuss this more tomorrow, when we talked about any potential letdowns for Friday's game, what I would really love to see is even if they're kind of garbage shots, I would really love to see the Stars pepper Skinner early and just be like, what do you got? What do you got? What do you got?
Yeah, on Otter's front, his coach, his teammates, national media, they all say the same thing. And DeBoer said this a couple weeks ago. It's not the amount of saves. It's not the save percentage number. It's win.
Fair.
And in the third period, Kevin, when you need him the most, he's making those big-time saves.
Yeah.
Where he's leaping across in front of the goal to stop one. Like, you got those moments, but the rest of the country is saying the same thing about him, and that is whenever it's time to shut the door, he completely does that. That he knows, all right, look, if I can keep it to 3, then we have a shot to win this game.
Yeah.
So all I have to do is make sure that I just don't let another one get by. And he has had that ability throughout these playoffs. Whenever the Stars have a chance to rally, he's had that ability to say, I'm going to do this. Now, also give the defenseman credit. The defensemen are doing a really good job of clearing space in front of him. They deserve a ton of credit for the work they're giving him because he needs to be able to see that puck. We talked about it with Marty yesterday, and sometimes you just don't know. And there was a goal yesterday where it was like, oh, man, there was a dude right in Marchment's goal. Marchment was standing in front of the goal on Miro's goal. He never saw that. Skinner never saw it. There were multiple times. Otter last night, because he knows what he can see, he's playing exceptional right now, and that whole defense is doing a really good job.
A couple other notes. I'm curious if the rest of the series will play out this way. I don't think I feel confident more than I have the last 2 series. You're not going to get out physicaled by Edmonton. Not to say that Edmonton can't be physical. I just don't think you're going to be like overmatched physically. Now you have the potential if you move into the Stanley Cup final against Florida, and we have to have a different conversation. But for now, I don't think you're going to get consistently out physicaled, and you love the domination on the faceoffs last night.
Yes.
I hope that can continue.
The physical part. Did you love seeing the fight at the end of the game?
Yes.
Okay. Add to that. You think they're dropping gloves to start the next game? I know this is usually it's playoffs, let's save that for the regular season. But do you remember that Canada-USA start when it was just like 3 minutes in?
That was the best.
You already
thing
have
I'd ever
58
seen.
penalties.
Yeah.
They're just fighting each other because they're setting the tone.
Yeah.
You're sending the gyms out there and saying, go get something done. Shoresy, right there.
And it did kind of feel like, I mean, you could view it from both perspectives, right? That Edmonton is like, hey, let's start some crap because we just want to let you know we're not going down easily. And then from the Stars' perspective, I'm sure you could push it as, that's fine. We'll fight back because we're a different team. Mm-hmm. You know, like, or maybe somebody just got mad and said somebody was a P or whatever, and then they just started punching each other. Like, I don't know for sure, but I can see how you could project it either way.
I can see Corey Perry wanting to teach the kid a lesson. You know, he's like, I'll show this kid. You know, I'm not going to let him punk me. The other thing, though, Kevin, is... And how do you like this, Alec, when you get the empty net goal and your coach is standing over there with his hands in his pocket like nothing happened? Because he wants to cheer and go nuts just like everybody else in that arena, but he's standing there just kind of looking at the scoreboard like, all right, okay, yeah, all right, we did that.
Question then.
Like nothing happened, dude.
Alec, put your mind in the mind of Pete DeBoer. Is he thinking, stay calm, the players need you to stay calm? Or is he thinking, for the love of God, Pete, whatever you do, don't look over your shoulder in the first row. You know what's happening. So do I. Don't do it.
Yeah, he had a couple of motivating factors behind him, So, he was probably just saying, stay strong, stay strong. We're almost done with regulation, and then we can get away with actually turning around.
Exactly. It's tough, Corey. You have to look at the scoreboard because you got nowhere else to look.
Do not look over your shoulder.